Good morning, y'all. Get ready with me while we talk about Leaving Atlanta by Tayari Jones. So, to jump in, this is the fourth book that I've read by Tayari Jones, but I want to say it was her debut novel. I read An American Marriage first, then Silver Sparrow, then Kin, and then Leaving Atlanta. Out of those, I not sure. I want to say that Leaving Atlanta was my favorite. If what I think happened happened. Um, if what I think happened didn't happen, then Ken is my favorite. So, caution spoilers. I'm gonna wash my face with. Actually, no, I'm not gonna use that. This La Roche Posay Gentle Cleansing Oil. I like to use the salicylic acid by Naturium, but it's summertime and I don't want my face to burn off. So I usually just use that at night or in the wintertime. Okay, so caution spoilers. But Leaving Atlanta was about it was a book from the perspective of three fifth graders during the time of the Atlanta child murders of 1979. And while I was reading this book, I was realizing, historical fiction might be my favorite genre. I love a psychological thriller, and I don't know if this book mixed those two or not, but I feel like it did. So we have three parts. The first part was Tasha, I think, or Tanya, and she had a crush on this boy. I forgot the people's names already. I'm so sorry, but I want to say it's like Gervonta. Oh my god, that's gonna bother me. Let me look it up real quick so I don't say the wrong thing. Latasha Baxter was the first perspective. Part two is Rodney Green. And part three is Octavia. Okay. So in the first perspective, Jashante Hamilton, he is kidnapped in part one. And it's, I guess, I don't remember who had a crush or who, if they both had a crush or if there was misunderstanding, and then he started bullying her a little bit. But she cursed him, and next thing you know, his ass got snatched. And then part two, which was, the whole book is kind of sad, but part two was about Rodney and his abusive relationship. His father was abusive. And so it goes into how the police officer came to the school. They told them what to look out for. They showed them what a real police badge looks like and stuff like that. And Rodney's dad came up to the school to whoop him because he found out he'd been stealing from the corner store, and he had fell asleep outside on the playground, and so he was skipping class and all this other stuff. So he came up to the school and beat him, and then Rodney was just done for after that. He kind of lost his will to live, because it was talking about how he skipped through four lanes of traffic and didn't get hit and stuff like that. That's what he was trying to do. And then he gets stopped by a police officer, even though it's not a police officer, and he knew the badge was fake, and he still got in the car because he was just trying to go the opposite direction of home. And then he turns up dead. And then part three is Octavia. Now, this is the part where if I think, I absolutely love it, 12 out of 10, if I think what happened, happened. So, as Octavia and her mother, and they are, I guess they're poor, but Octavia doesn't really know that. And she mentions that my mom likes to lie sometimes. She was talking about how she would see needles on the ground, and her mom was like, "Oh, a doctor dropped it, but they're gonna come back for it, so don't touch it because they'll be upset with you if you touch their stuff." And so her uncle was staying with them, and where are my cotton pads? Hold on. Okay, and then so her uncle was staying with them, and she found needles in his bag, and she was telling her mom, "Oh my God, the doctor's gonna be upset with him because he has needles and blah, 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 he has their needles." Turned out he was actually on heroin or something. I'm using this BHA liquid exfoliant, 2%. salicylic acid, since I did not use the facial cleanser. And just you want to make sure you use sunscreen if you're using this. So it's like all the other stuff, but she mentioned that like her mom lies, and we all know that like parents tell little white lies just because some shit is not able to be explained to a child. It's like we get that, but she talks about Rodney because he sat behind her in class and he would leave her candy and all this other stuff, and eventually the teacher stopped calling his name, and this was before I don't know if this was before they found out he was dead or after they found out he was dead, but the teacher just stopped calling his name on roll and removed his desk, and Octavia had a problem with that. And so she said, after that, like, I never said present, like, when he called her name again. She said, and then eventually he stopped calling my name altogether. That was the first thing, okay? And then she was outside playing one time, and the streetlights had came on, and she wasn't home. And she was like, there was this man who kept, like, looking, but the way it was written, it made it seem like he was looking but didn't see anything. And so she like jumped off the swing and like busted her lip, and she was saying like another step and he could have snatched her. So I don't know if I don't know like what happened there. Like, did he see her, or was she I don't know. Like, or was she not there? I'm gonna just go out and say it. I'm gonna just go out and say it. So then she goes home and like she gets in trouble and stuff like this. And her mom is like, and this is when it starts to get weird. Like her mom is like not really, like her mom is mad at her. She yells at her and like smacks her and hits her and stuff like that. But then she said like they cried on separate ends of the couch, and like her mom was just like kind of numb and crying and da da and like not saying anything. And then she was saying like one of their traditions was that she would pick out the branches to hand to her mom to put the Christmas tree up. So she was like, she came home from school one day and the Christmas tree was up, and she was like, well, mom, well, I would have helped you. And she's like, her mom just like asked her cigarette into her glass, and she like didn't really say anything. She like mumbled or something. And that's when I started thinking, like, is Octavia an unreliable narrator? Like, is she dead? Like, was she one of the kids and she just doesn't know it? Because why did her teacher stop calling her name altogether? Why did her mother put up the Christmas tree without her? And not really responding. That man in the park, did he snatch her, or was she not there and he didn't actually see her? And then it gets to a point in the book where she's looking in the newspaper. And I was like, she's in the news. Why is she in the newspaper? Is she dead? She said that her mother wouldn't let her go to the wake. So her mother went to the wake by herself. And so it was talking about how they looked a mess, or how she thought they looked a mess in the newspaper, like at the funeral. And I'm like, but the funeral hasn't happened yet. And then after they're talking about the newspaper and stuff, then they go to the funeral. And I'm like, well, so if the newspaper clip wasn't from the funeral, because they went to the funeral after, what happened? Or is it like they're reminiscing about the funeral? Like, oh, we brought up this newspaper and there's a picture of us from the funeral, and now they tell us about the funeral? That's possible. But then it was also like she's leaving to go. Her mother decided that she was going. I'm sorry, I didn't tell y'all none of this. Vitamin C complex serum for Naturium is what I put on first. And then I put on the hyaluronic acid serum. And now I'm putting on the niacinamide. Do I do this every day? No. I try to do the whole routine at least once a day, but we're not perfect. So she was saying that her mom was sending her to live with her father because he was a professor and da da da, and I have a better life. And she's packing up all her dresses. And I'm like, is that the lie? Because my mom lies sometimes. Is the lie, oh, you're going to live with your father, when really you're dead, like you're going off to like wherever. Um, and it's like, if that's the case, that would put the book at a 12 out of 10 for me, with that like psychological thriller aspect. Because like the very last sentence of the book, she's like, I'm never going to see my mother ever again. And it's like, is this a dramatic fifth grader who thinks that like going to see her, I mean, going to live with her father in South Carolina, which is not that far from Atlanta, um, is never seeing her mom again? Or if she's actually passed on away. I don't know. So I think that she's an unreliable narrator, and people were like, "No, the newspaper's from something, something, something," and I'm like, "How do y'all know this?" And so then I went back and read it, and I'm like, "Okay, so it's from the funeral, but they hadn't gone to the funeral yet, and she wasn't allowed to go to the wake." Um, I don't know, child. But if it did have that psychological aspect, nobody online seems to think that. But I feel like it could be just because it led up with the teacher not saying her name. Her mother lies sometimes, so maybe going to live, like never seeing her again and going to live with her father was like a lie of, you're never going to see me again, but it's not because you're going to live with your father, it's because you're transitioning over. Um, and the newspaper, like, I just don't, why would she be in the newspaper if she wasn't one of the missing children? And I know it says she flipped back and saw Ronnie's face, but I don't know. I don't know. What do y'all think? Have you read it? I put on threads to like discuss, and people were like, "Oh, I don't remember that. Like, let me reread." But like nobody has read it like recently enough to be able to be like, "Oh yeah," or like, "Oh no." So I think so, somebody need to get discussing with me before I lose my mind. Hold on. Okay, now I'm almost out of this, but this is the Dew Glow Moisturizer SPF 50 by Naturium. I'm putting this on first. I am putting on like a tinted sunscreen as makeup, but um I do put this on sometimes first as like a first layer. I probably could put a lot more on than this, but we're gonna stick to this for now. Excess goes on the elbows. But yeah, so I guess this is just gonna be like a skincare routine because I've said all I had to say about the book. But yeah, so I guess the next book. What's on my TBR? I just finished Real by Kennedy Ryan, and I'm reading Score. And somebody suggested Burn Down Mass's House, and I started that one, but I do not like the narrator. I'm not a huge fan of his voice, or not even his voice. Like he's just like talking slowly. So I might have to actually read that one, but I am looking for a good audiobook because I feel like I have so many things to do. It's easier to just listen while I do other stuff and then, read some things. I also got, we got an arc from an author, so I'm excited to read that. I'm not going to tell you who or what, one, because I don't think I can, but that's exciting. So I'm going to be reading that. And then, yeah, I'm really excited for Seven Daughters of Dupree in July. But yes, if you've read Leaving Atlanta, I need you in the comments now. If you've read it recently, I don't care if you got to go get the book and re-listen to the book. It's not that long. But please, somebody let me know if I'm tripping or if you're like, oh, wait, girl, you might be onto something. But that's it. I figured I would just post a video, no intro, no nothing, no background, no whatever, because we can still talk about books and do other things. And I wanted to hurry up and talk about it before I forgot everything that happened to the book. But yeah, comment down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I can't wait to chat with y'all about this book and others.